Hello, everyone. Welcome, a warm welcome to our global audience for joining us today for the webinar on unlocking impact, igniting sustainable change through supporting capacity building and knowledge resource production. Before we dive into the exciting content ahead, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Rispa Arose, and I serve at Tanda Community Network based in Nairobi, Kenya. And I'm happy to be in this call today. During today's webinar, we have an exciting lineup of topics and speakers that will shed light on the importance of capacity building for community networks. During the discussion, we will get to first understand the role of capacity building and communities of practice in igniting sustainable change. We will also get to discuss on exploring best practices and strategies for building sustainable community of practice and producing resources tailored to community networks. And then lastly, we will open it up to an interactive Q&A session where you can engage directly with other panelists. I see our moderator for the day has joined. Josephine, can you hear me? As she's setting up, I would want to just go into a few housekeeping. Is that before we dive into the heart of our discussion, I'd like us to go over a few ground rules to ensure that today's webinar runs smoothly. Just try to create a safe environment for all participants at all times. I extend compassion and understanding to everyone sharing in this space. Also, kindly keep your microphone muted throughout the presentation to minimize background noise, and we encourage active participation. So feel free to ask questions using the chat feature, and we'll address them during Q&A. I'd like to go back to our moderator for the day, Josephine. Okay, she's having connectivity challenges, but meanwhile, I'll just want to have our speakers and panelists just to see if we are all here. So I'd like to hand it over to our panelists to briefly introduce themselves and the organizations that they're representing. I'd like to start with Roxana Widmer. I hope I'm saying it correctly. She's the Senior Coordinator for Digital Inclusion at the International Telecommunication Union. Welcome, Roxana.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Would you like to know a little bit more about me, or do you like to? Well, I'm working actually in digital inclusion for over 25 years, and I'm pleased to say that our work in rural, remote, and indigenous communities lasts for about 20 years. So IT was pioneering this work, and we are very much attached to it. Also because the work that we do for rural, remote and indigenous community encompass from a holistic perspective all the target group that we want to ensure within this overarching goal of digital inclusion and the mantra of leaving no one behind, because the community encompass from children and youth, also women from young to old also, perhaps also person with disabilities or with different level of knowledge. For us, it's very much important to ensure that we properly address each and everyone needs to ensure that we support through the access to and the use of technology, the self-sustainability of this community for their social and economic empowerment.
Thank you so much, Roxana, and we are happy and glad to have you on board.
Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Daniela Bello.
Hi guys, good morning from Mexico. I'm Daniela Bello. I'm from Redes. This is an organization that has been working with community and indigenous communication projects for the last 20 years. And also I was part of a LogNet initiative that is led by APC and Rhizomatica. So I'm very glad to be here with you, sharing these experiences. And also I would like to learn from you. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Daniela. Great to have you and to hear more about APC as the panel discussion continues. Next on, I'd like to invite Niels Brock.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Niels Brock. Today with my head on from the Comena project, DW Academy. I also participate with the LogNet project and are part of the Global Innovation Gathering community. But today, my focus will rather to tell you a bit about Comena, which is a participatory software project, very much community-centered. And just also DW Academy is a media development organization based in Germany, but acting globally and with a specific focus also on community communication. So this is also why there are already many familiar faces here today, and happy to be with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Niels, for that introduction. I don't know if we have Jean from ISOC, Jean Baptiste. Okay, we will hear from Jean Baptiste when he joins. So to kick us off we will start with Roxana. So the ITU telecommunication development sector, through its digital inclusion program and in collaboration with the Regional Office for the Americas, has implemented tailored capacity building program towards strengthening the ICT capabilities of indigenous people since 2005. So considering the ITU's extensive experience in tailored capacity building programs for indigenous communities, could you share insights on the most effective models and approaches you've observed for conducting community-centric initiative that led to lasting impact?
Well, it's a complex question. So thank you very much. So first of all, yes, it's true that we account from 2005, but to be let me give you an insight, which many people knows about. Actually, we begin our work in 2003 when it was the first WISIS, World Summit on Information Society, held here in Geneva. And at that time, I was only in charge with youth, and it was a community for Aymara from indigenous in Bolivia who came, and we didn't have a focal point on indigenous. So our first project actually began through use, but it was for indigenous use in Bolivia. So, well, the ITU telecommunication development approach to capacity building for indigenous community evolved a lot in the last 20 years. And I would say it's grounded in several key principles that contribute to its effectiveness and in particular, what is very dear for us, to have a lasting impact of the initiatives. So I would say that we use several approaches, but as basic, number one, I would say community-centric and participatory design, it's compulsory. We emphasize the importance of designing these programs at community center, and in particular involving indigenous communities from the design stage, so from the planning throughout the implementation, all the implementation phases. And this participatory approach ensures that the programs are culturally sensitive and relevant to the specific needs and challenges of these communities. Then I will mention customization to local needs. So we recognize that the needs are diverse, of diverse community, and also across different regions and continents of the world. So the ITU tried to tailor its capacity building efforts to address these specific local challenges and opportunities. And from our experience, this involves comprehensive needs assessment to understand these requirements of each community, and in particular to be able to adapt the capacity building programs accordingly. I will also want to mention integration of local knowledge and technology. So effective models also include the integration of local knowledge system and traditional practices with modern ICT solution. And this not only respects and preserve indigenous culture, but also enhances the relevance and the adoption of this new technology solution. We also address a particular attention to sustainable and scalable solution. We focus on creating sustainable programs that can be scaled and replicated, in particular in other communities. And this also includes building local capacity to manage and maintain ICT resources. So it's ensuring long-term impact beyond the duration of the specific capacity building program of the specific project. I cannot stress more the importance of the partnership and collaboration. So I have to say that our achievement was in effect a teamwork achievement, because collaborating with a range of stakeholders, including local governments or not governmental organization, private sector, were truly crucial. And this partnership helped in mobilizing resources, sharing experience, and ensuring an alignment of the capacity building efforts with a broader development goals. And finally, I would say continuous monitoring, evaluation, and adaptation, because we want to implement a robust framework for monitoring and evaluating the impacts of this capacity building initiative. And that means this enables the continuous improvement of program based on feedback and changing needs, because the needs evolves. The needs of today can be different tomorrow. But with this approach, we can ensure that remain effective and relevant. And to conclude, I would say that all this multi-phased strategy and efforts that we are trying have as final goal to address the unique socioeconomic and cultural context of each community, and to ensure that our programs are designed with local realities in mind and continuously adapting strategy based on the ongoing feedback and evaluation, which are received usually by our collaborators who help us in the delivery of these projects. And I would say that our summum, our best effort that I would like with what I would like to conclude your question as response to your question is the last training program that we developed in collaboration with Redes por la Diversidad, Equidad y Sostenibilidad, Rhizomatica Communication, and the Association for Progressive Communication. and the Tequio Comunitario training program from indigenous people in Latin America, which was called Managers in ICT Networks in Indigenous and Rural Communities. We run this since 2019, and this program is for us based on the knowledge of the communities themselves, which joined all. Excuse me, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Sorry, yes, we just have something, but please go ahead. It was the recording fee.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know if there is any possibility. The only thing that to run, we have a very short video. I just want to highlight that this program is truly in continuous improvement. We hope that we arrive to a very mature stage of this program. And actually, thanks to our IT members like APC, we do hope that we will be able to extend this capacity building program also in Africa and perhaps also in the Asia and Pacific. If the time permits, I would very much appreciate to share with you some insights from this capacity building program that we developed with the colleagues. Or if not, at the end.
Since 2005, the International Telecommunications Union has trained more than 6,000 people from indigenous communities in the use and appropriation of information and communication technologies in Latin America. In addition to the courses that have been offered online, a hybrid program was added in 2019 that had the objective of training indigenous promoters in the region for them to be able to develop, manage, and maintain their telecommunication networks and communication media in their territories. This program is based on the methodology and needs of the training in indigenous communities of Latin America and has been carried on thanks to the collaboration from the design stage between the Regional Office for the Americas and the ITU Office for Digital Inclusion, with people and organizations directly linked to indigenous communication in the region. The participants of the program have experience in the development of communication and/or telecommunication projects in indigenous communities, so the indirect beneficiaries of this training process are the people who live in the territories where the graduates implement their projects. The program is made up of 5 online courses of 4 weeks each and 1 bootcamp. The online phase is developed in ITU Academy, and the courses cover topics where participants reinforce their knowledge on technical issues regarding the critical use of technologies, regulatory environment, as well as financial and social sustainability relevant to their projects. In the bootcamp, 3 elements of the training process are reinforced: consolidation of a network of people from the communities that accompany them in their project's development, applying knowledge and technical skills in real contexts, strengthening local processes in the territory where the bootcamp takes place. So far, 3 generations of the program have graduated. The participants have come from 13 countries in the region, and 45% of the graduates are women. This process has been possible thanks to the constant collaboration with organizations in the region and co-founders that make possible the development of the bootcamp. This hybrid training program has given good results, since a solid network of community technical promoters has been formed, who develop projects for the direct benefit of their communities and regions.
Thank you very much. And I hope that these practices and this program in particular underscore our commitment to fostering digital inclusion and empowering remote and indigenous communities through tailored, effective, and sustainable capacity building initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Roxana, for that presentation. As I was just hearing, it really resonated for us. I also am a coordinator for the Kenya National School of Community Network. And I totally agree with the essence of community-centric and participatory design, involving the community in the creation at the design stage, at the inception stage, and then having progressing that communication or that collaboration and co-creation with the community in the other phases that training and mentorship covers. And this just goes to show ownership of the learning, because let's face it, community networks is very unique in its nature. It's very technical, but also the fact that you want community themselves to come on board and own the process and operate it and deploy it. There's some capacity building, there's skills that needs to be shared, that needs to be processed by the community to ensure that even beyond, it's not just like other telecommunication operators who beyond the deployment, they leave the community and then it's very transactional. This is more on the broader vision of ensuring that there is social economic empowerment of these communities. I also like what you talked about in terms of like just how it looks like in terms of tailoring the program, starting from needs assessment, creating local knowledge and local practices within the capacity building. And also you highlighted and underscored the importance of partnership and collaboration because want the program to be adopted to make sense to even stakeholders, different stakeholders looking at government, private sectors, other civil society, so that it's very there's dynamic point of view in facilitating such a program. And then also you underscored monitoring and evaluation, which is very key, because we know that communities are always evolving, and only through continuous learning, only through continuous engagement with the community is how we can improve the programs that are happening at the community level, at the grassroots community level. And I'm so happy that the ITU is backing up such initiatives and are supporting organizations and communities to deploy their own network. And of course, very excited to hear that there could be a possibility to have the training program like the one you had in Latin Latin America here in Africa. It would be really great to also be or to engage communities in Africa, different countries, to be able to build and design the capacity building for advancing community-centric connectivity in the region. So thank you so much, Roxana. We will definitely have more time to hear what it actually means to have the school. So you can talk to us about the school in Latin America and just like what it looks like, what are the processes, what are the challenges and best practice. But before that, I'll come back to you. I would want to invite the next presenter on the call, Niels. So Niels, as we've seen during the times of crisis like COVID-19 pandemic, community media plays a crucial role in saving lives by bridging the gap between global or national information and local context, as well as facilitating the sharing of local healthcare knowledge. However, we see the reliance on commercial software and tools due to the rapid shift online that poses economic challenges and risks around access, around affordability, privacy, and digital safety. So how do you suggest we tackle the lack of locally relevant and accessible knowledge resources in various regions and languages? Yeah.
Thank you, Risper. Yeah, thank you for the nice presentation and invitation. I hope it's not too noisy because I have a colleague here in the same space. I think I will just move to another place. Sorry for this. And yeah, thanks for the nice introductory question. I will try to answer in a more general way first. Why are so many persons here today? Oh, this looks good. And then take the specific questions. So yeah, sorry. So this was a small tour through the offices, and I will share my screen. So what is this about? What I would like to talk to you about is the Colmena project, and starting or parting from this this specific project to touch a bit how we were envisioning when it comes to capacity building, and also when it comes to the question of what kind of repositories to use. So first of all, very quickly, what is Colmena? Some of you might already know it. It's an open source software application that bundles essential tools for local and community media work. With Colmena on your phone, you can record remote interviews. You can do streaming, audio editing, file sharing, and content publishing. And it is designed for a variety of devices, mobile, desktop, scalable, and works with little or no internet connectivity. So also very much directed towards communities that have been mentioned by the speaker before, by Roxana already. Before coming to the specific strategies for capacity building and for the repositories, I would like to share some of the underlying strategies I think that have emerged from this process to work since the COVID-19 crisis in the last 3 years, that have very much informed the work on this collaborative software. So first principle or strategy for us was to work with strong partners, including Tandanet and Redis, and recently also a software cooperation cooperative from Argentina. I think something that is important that was mentioned already, it was to be interculturally and regionally sensitive with the work. There's no one size fits it all, but software is not a product. Software is a process, so it always needs to be localized, and it needs to be in constant dialogue with the needs. It was well said before me already. We also cherish the value to have co-creation on all levels of the process. So to not have like a small core team of developers that are completely detached from the realities of the end users, but rather we are trying to also create workshop spaces where there is a direct contact. So recently we had a workshop in Argentina where the developers met community radios from the countryside, and so for them, it was a very important experience to, after that, say, okay, now I know better what is the user story all about, right? Intersectional gender approach, that was something that we really put on top from the beginning onwards, because we didn't want to create software or to start a software process where there would be an implicit exclusion somehow, and to better understand also what can be exclusive moment of the building blocks if you are doing something like this. That's an ongoing challenge, to be honest. If you look especially on the developers community, it's more difficult to find women or diverse persons to engage in such a process. But yeah, can talk about this later if you are interested. Also, to create a healthy environment for collaboration, to create certain policies of care, I think is very important, even before talking about capacity building or talking about creating repositories. And there are different initiatives like the DEI badge from, for instance, from the Linux Foundation that we can also share that we recently became part of. Open source and open innovation are also two underlying strategies that we think are very important, because if you do capacity building, you should also do it with tools and with things that are available for everyone. And so what is the need to do a workshop with I don't know, video edition software that costs hundreds of dollars and that most of the persons in the world will not be able to use in the end? And also, what does it mean to work with open innovation? So all those are really underlying things that that should be considered. And to finish at the end, so the principles of mobile first, to think of, especially in our case, working with software and working with tools that should be available for the global majority and for the global south. And when you have so many users that use mobile phones first and not a desktop environment, then it's really important to not forget this and to make it part of the also of the repositories. I will come back to this later. Last but not least, offline first as a principle also, to ensure that there is a digital experience also, and that there can be a capacity building experience if persons are not constantly connected or if they have poor connectivity. I think inclusiveness also starts there. When it comes to capacity building, especially, so I wanted to share very quickly about 3 experiences that we had. One instrument that I think is or methodology that is really important for us was to say, okay, how can we create an ongoing capacity building? What are the bottlenecks for continued capacity building now? And you have to really socialize the knowledges that you have within the community constantly, and to make it grow, to scale it up, as we already heard. And so a capacity building guide for Comena multipliers was a very important milestone for us, and we achieved it together with our partner Redes from Mexico, and using the methodology of participatory action research that I think is also applied in many of the scenarios that we saw in the video before. So it shows us that that's a methodology that really permits to engage with the community. And in this case, to prepare the multipliers, not only to say like, okay, this is step 1, step 2, step 3 of the software, but rather to feel enabled and empowered to localize this methodology and to think of how can I do a capacity building session with a local community that is really based on their needs and that is apt for the context. All those materials are also online. I will share the links later. Another important thing was to accompany the workshop, accompany the whole process with workshops that go beyond software focus. So even there was co-creation moments, so communities from Kenya, from Mexico, from other countries participated in the process of creating the app and the functionalities. But this is one part. And then what is really important was also to, okay, if we talk about open source software, do everyone share the same idea of what this is? So how can we create also a common understanding of the things we do and importance? And so we started also to organize quizzes and workshops about the topic of digital rights, about how to interact with the community or how to interact with the audience, and all those things that communicators and community networks, I would say, also are interested in and need to know. And so this idea of the capacity building to make it as broad as possible, also to kind of ground experience is really important. And not least, we recently started to systematize a bit more the work that we have done in an e-learning offer, multilingual, as Colmena was from the beginning also, that is driven by the user stories. So that is to say, with the functionalities available of Colmena today, what would be the things that many users want to do? So podcasting or radio is one of them. So the e-learning is very much interested in support those productive processes. And this is, yeah, for us also something new. It's not meant to be only an online experience, but as a starting point, like e-learning offers also a good way to share with others. And again, the idea that to make this e-learning offer also available offline is a challenge and something we definitely want to do. When it comes to the repositories, maybe the e-learning is a good link. So at the end, the question is also, where do you make the content available, and what platforms you would choose to do an e-learning? In our case, we picked one that is called Atingi. It's a spin-off from the Moodle project organized by a German cooperation organization, GIZ. And what it permits is also to make so the repositories available offline at some point, and we are currently exploring this. Another important part, of course, of repositories in the process of software are the repositories of the software itself, where the code is. And there are different ways to do this. There's GitHub that many of you know. There's also GitLab that Colmena used from the start on. It's like GitHub also, but rather open source and also focused on open source projects. And we're working there, and you can see a glimpse of it already, where it says here documentation, on a documentation page, where we bring together all the different perspectives of the software. So from a more techie person who would like to install Colmena software on its server, he or she will find the information here step by step, but also others that are more interested to know how to use it as an end user, or to unpack some of the features, trying to create different entry points, also for dialogue and for participation. So this would also be a living repository, I would say, to attract more developers from other projects to become aware and to contribute to what we're doing. And then, of course, materials like the Train the Trainer methodological guide that I mentioned before from Colmena, there we're thinking always also where to make them available. And the Community Networks Learning Repository from the Lognet project is one of the spaces where we also uploaded this material to share it, so that others can use it. Maybe even users that are not so much interested in Colmena, but thinking about content creation in a community-centered way, where this could be really interesting. Not to go too much beyond time, I summed up some of our learnings here that I wanted to share very quickly as a conclusion. First thing, go regional, but be prepared. That is to say, it's really, really interesting. Our focus, more humble than the ITU approach, of course, but we are also working cross-regional. But it is a challenge. It's always important, as we heard before, to localize and to also be prepared that it's an extra work, but it's worth it. And working with partners, as said before, is maybe also one of the key learnings that we share. Right with the users. This means for building capacities or the repositories, they have to dialogue with the experiences of the users. I remember approaches to try to push persons in a forum, an online forum, to share their experiences, generations of younger than 30 years. So most of them don't know those spaces from the early days of the internet, and they're not familiar with them. So to expect an interaction on those places for capacity building, or that they would go there and explore a repository, I think that it's not happening, or you have to at least think of a strategy. Things do not come automatically. So also the, the learning, keep it frugal. Don't get too over complex in terms of the technologies that are involved at the end. The social experience and the social learning is the most important thing. Be inclusive always and everywhere, I think is also key, because it's very easy also in virtual and non-virtual spaces, again, to come up with a very male audience. And so yeah, that's also an effort to really have inclusive capacity building and other experiences. Bring in the developers. That was our learning. So it's important that this contact is made. The persons that create for you, that might be involved in creating your repositories, or that you invite in the capacity building, they have to know the beneficiaries of, and they have to be sensitized with the conditions of their life and what their needs are and everything. If not, it's not working. It's not a question of technologies. It's really a question of dialogue and social interaction. Yeah, the last two things: make time to document your work. I mean, that's the basis of a good repository. And this was also hard learning. You can produce software very quickly and timely, but if you don't document it, it's not possible to replicate it, and it's somehow exclusive again to others. And last point, important, don't forget to have fun. That's always a good advice, I guess. And yeah, here are some resources to dig deeper. I can also share them in the chat to not occupy the screen too much. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Niels. It was really great to hear your presentation. Just to go right back to where you finalized your presentation on, in terms of learnings that you have been able to accumulate in creation of the Colmena platform, localizing the content, which was also iterated by Roxana, has also come back in creating local platforms. When there's local there, that the platform needs to resonate with the community that the platform is seeking to serve. And to be honest, I would say, like, not many platforms should get a chance to be part and parcel of co-create. And it's an honor that we are also at Tandanet working closely with DW to Academy to co-create the platform. It's gone through a lot of iteration. I think that's the beauty of involving community, because then you get to hear what will work for the community that this platform is being created for, and what will not work. Just the other day, we were listening how when you into a platform, is a long term of agreement, and then you just to agree to it. So things that you
Hi, everyone. I think we lost Whisper, no?
Yes.
Seems so, yes.
Yes, I think she must had some connectivity issues. While she's back now. Can you hear us, Whisper? We lost you for a second.
My apologies. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, thank you, Deborah. Just to finalize is just to reiterate some of the things that are coming up from Neil's presentation, is that even when creating the platform, other than just engaging the community in designing the platform, there is also a capacity building process that needs to go into, so that the community understand what the tool is and how it integrates into their day-to-day life, how it's important to them. And Niels mentioned that Colmena with the different partners are doing workshops to understand not just the platform, but also how it relates to the broader vision of bridging the digital divide, because that's the goal. And also looking at how to ensure that the platform is culturally sensitive by also having multilingual, so that the platform can have different languages that can be accessed by different communities. Also, something else that Niels mentioned is point around care. So when you're creating the platform, thinking about the audience, how do you ensure that what does it mean to work with how will the users be able to interact with the platform? So ensuring like looking into avenues like that, open source, that can be used by the community. Thank you, Neil, so much for even sharing the resources and the resources that you have been able to create, the repository, the trainer methodology guide that can enable other communities to use the platform, and also just sharing some of the learnings that you have been able to get during the process. So next on, I will come back to you, Niels, just to understand more about Colmena platform and how different communities that are in this call can be able to, if a community would want to have the platform support the work that the community media in that specific community is working on, what would that process look like? But before we get into that, I would now like to, I don't know if Jean from ISOC is on the call. If not, I will now go to Daniela Bello. Daniela, with the Local Access Network Initiative, that is the National School of Community Networks, launched in Brazil, Indonesia, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa since April 2020, supported by the UK Aid Digital Access Program and the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. How are you ensuring that knowledge resources such as training models, such as best practices and guides produced by different countries and different communities during the school are openly accessible and freely available to all participants? Daniela?
Hi, thank you, Risper. Thank you for the introduction. I have a presentation. I don't know if we can see it. Just
Yes.
to talk about this project, as you say, the National Schools of Community Networks are part of the LogNet initiative that has been developed by APC and Rhizomatica for the last 2 years at least. So here there are people that have been working on that project. That project has something particular that we really liked about it, is because we focus on capacity building and training for the development of specific skills that the people that are working on the ground on the developing of the community networks are working. And we always focus on what are the needs, what are their dreams of the community itself, and then we create the training programs. So we work with different communities, with different organizations, with different stakeholders to work on these training programs. But it is a long process because we think that it's important that we need to look on those needs first. We need to take time to do that before starting a training program. So for that, we We work with different organizations in 5 countries. As you said, Brazil, Indonesia, Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa was part of this project. And also every country worked with different, at least 7 local organizations to learn about technical, social, and also economic issues related with science, because we also think that technology itself, it doesn't fix all our needs. We need to know more about cultural and social and economic aspects around the community networks. So besides creating the national school, we also see the opportunity to create this learning repository that I will talk later. To start this process, we also take time to develop this publication that is called Technological Autonomy as a Constellation of Experiences. That is, it was created with the idea of sharing the knowledge that we have previously in Mexico with the program Tequio Comunitario. That is a program that started in 2012 with the creation, with this stage. As I told you, it's very important to observe, to think very clear what we need. And this program, Tequio Comunitario, it's the program that has inspired the other editions and the other training programs, as Roxana explained to you, that we are working with ITU. And this program also inspired these National Schools of Community Networks. And in this guide, next, please. We share many ideas. I will share with you on the chat the link, because you can read this guide on APC site. It's available in English, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. And you can start looking at these ideas that we share, and the importance of thinking the capacity building as contextualized and diverse training. So as I told you, we think that it's important to think on community networks and community projects as organization and a political process. Is not only about connectivity itself. So we have a critical vision of the technologies, because we think the technologies are not neutral, and it's important to know about the good and the bad things are around the technologies. And we always think about this guide as not a manual. It has to be think as just something that we create in order to help. But it was important, and we also, with the community, with the schools, we always share with the organization that everyone has to work on their own training programs, because it's important that the training has to be contextualized. Also, we use the next, please, the PAR methodology, as others have shared with you, Niels and also Roxanne. This participatory action research is the methodology that we use. We think is very useful, and this the phases that include this methodology are these ones: scenario building, see, think, act, and evaluate. This is a cycle. I don't have many time to explain all these phases, but you can find in the guide I told you. And we think this methodology is very good, and at least for us has been very good, because it helps us to understand all the scenario around the training, and also the evaluation is very important, and you can adapt again your training programs in a cycle. Next, please. So this is the national schools we have here in the screen. You can see all the organizations that have been working with every school in every country: Senseleni in South Africa, CITAD in Nigeria, Common Room in Indonesia, PCA in Brazil, and Tandanet in Kenya. Next, please. We have a video here. I don't know if we can see it just without sound, just to see some pictures of what we have done during this year. During these years, every school have been working in their own training program based on the guide I told you. So we identified three phases that all of them have been working with. In the design, they work in the advisory committee. There was form an advisory committee with different stakeholders that help to understand what are the needs, and also to work on the methodology and the design itself of the training programs. It includes academy people, governments, institutions, people from different activities in the communities. Then they start with implementation. They select the 7 organizations they wanted to work, and they started to organizing the activities that includes face-to-face activities, or also visits to the communities, or also online activities based on the local necessities. And then they have also a mentorship phase where they were working together with the organizations and trying to develop a community network project under a microgrant that we support in the LoCNet project. And many of these community networks have been developing in these countries, and they decided, for example, to look on marketing issues or in technical skills. So everyone is working on the needs they have. And for that, we also created this online, next please. We saw a need that it was important to have the materials of every school in a space where they can share the materials they need to train. So we developed this website that is the Community Networks Learning Repository. I don't know if we will have time later to explain more about it, but I just want to know, let you know that this place is free. It's not for this project. Everyone can participate. The idea is that you can search for resources that help you to develop your own training programs and also your community projects. But also you can propose some resources so others can use them. Also, we have this particular area that we are working with Tandanet. So, for example, they can have their own training programs in a structured way. So they can use this repository as a tool to train the people. And I think for the moment is what I have to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daniela. Thank you for that presentation of just showing us what capacity building now would look like in different countries, and what APC, the LoCNet initiative, has been supporting in the past 3 years to support emerging and already existing community networks with the skills to be able to design, to be able to deploy, operate, and sustain these connectivity initiatives at the community level. And yes, the Tequio Comunitario guide is one that I would recommend to everyone on the call. If you have time, go check it out. It has really demonstrated well what participatory action research methodology looks like, going into details if you're interested, if you're curious to host, to have, or to organize a capacity building in your community. So thank you so much for that. I will go. I want to remind all the participants, feel free to ask a question to any of the panelists. Have it on the chat, and then at the tail end of the session, we will be able to get into those questions. Yes. So I want to go back to Roxana. And yes, you had mentioned about the capacity building that ITU is supporting in the Latin America region. Would just want to, if you can explain further on how that capacity building look like. What are some of the challenges that you faced? What are some of the learnings that you have gathered from the program? And yes, so what does that look like? Over to you.
So thank you. So, well, in terms of the first part of the question, yes, we had several concrete achievements that held throughout the years, and most of them were focusing initially on provision of telecenters and ICT spaces for remote and indigenous communities at the beginning, in concrete, let's say, project like Connect a School, Connect a Community, we were doing in various areas in Argentina, Honduras, Paraguay, and so on. I think that one of the most recent projects in which we promote capacity building successfully, in particular to the young generation within these communities, it was on the benefit of youth from Gran Chaco region. This is a region so that covers Bolivia, Argentina, and Paraguay in the Americas. And in fact, this was in line with a project that was developed in line with the local needs identified by this community itself. And well, it was to of course to support developing national strategies to enhance the digital skills of the young people from this community, but also to incentivize in these communities innovation and entrepreneurship. So I believe that, as just told, once the capacity building is finished, we have to see what's next. So how this impact the community, how this impact the life, and to measure our success mostly based on the impact rather than on the value of the curriculum, which of course is very important. But for us from now on, it will be more what's next, what really changed in the life of people. And so for 2024, just a very short overview, we will have a boot camp that will take place from April 22 to 13th in Guatemala city in Guatemala, as the results of the project that we have for project development for the manager that I was sharing with you, which is our key project. And because this was a project that lasts the whole year, at the end of the year, the country in which we plan to be implemented has some political issues, so we postponed it for the beginning of this year. But this in-person course will be presented as a foundation for the development and updating of online training activities in 2024 too. So as I've told you, we truly want to continuously advance, even yearly, if it is possible to advance and to update the capacity building program in line with the evolving needs of the communities. We also looking into more short courses, because this is an awesome course, but it's throughout the year, so it's quite challenging for people to have it. And there are some topics like strategy for inclusive connectivity in a community context, which seems to attract a lot of interest. So we agree to try to develop 2 of these courses in June and perhaps another in September for a duration of 6 weeks. And the review of this ICT Network Manager training program, we would like to also finalize it, or to also adjust it with a holistic and intersectional approach. So I explain, we see that the world is going from offline to online, like it or not. At the beginning, we had the feeling that some of us who, or some of the people who not necessarily wanted to navigate in this digital space, have also the possibility to make their choice and to stay aside. However, COVID was a wake-up call for us, for all of us, and we realized that, for instance, there are some key messages which can be vital, like for safe living, which was the case during COVID, how to behave, how to do, what to do. And so we realize that, like it or not, we have to ensure that everyone, in at least in a certain moment, if they need to access this digital space for information and communication, they can do it. So the intersectional approach, it's, let's say, a woman that can be old, illiterate, with disability, so that means different barriers in the digital space. And also intersectionality aspect. For instance, a young man or woman with or without disability, illiterate or educated. So all the range of let's say, of people that can be young or old. And all this can be solved, technologically speaking, if digital accessibility standards, principles, or requirements are in place. And digital, and I say accessibility, not thinking to affordability. Affordability is also a very important aspect that, of course, we will consider, in particular when it comes to communities which do not have financial means. So affordability is important, but here I'm talking about accessibility aspect that we want to include it here. So why? Because, for instance, accessibility means the accessibility feature embedded in the device, like in the smart technology, no? Which enable automatic translation. Some of the speakers nicely touch on the need of multi-language. And of course, not everyone speaks English or French. I'm Romanian, by the way. So it's very important in our day to have this facility of the technology to translate in our own language. By using accessibility feature, for instance, we can also have text-to-speech. The text-to-speech can be used by a deaf, but also by an illiterate, no? Because I don't know how to text, but I can hear, so I recognize and I can access the information. And vice versa, speech to text for a blind person. So all this to say that we consider that these are very important, because this community can also face emergency situations, and in this type of situation, we want to ensure that the community it's fully skilled to ensure that all the digital information relevant to health, safe emergency, as I've told, or whatever similar important information, or let's say, access to telehealth can be available as are in the offline to be also be in the online. And for the rest, I think Daniela also share the school work that they are doing. It's more or less on the same, let's say, approach that ITU is looking at developing our programs. And to say it was a pleasure to hear each and every of you, because I think we're all aligned. We know how to do it. Perhaps we just have to strengthen a little bit more our collaboration and efforts, and try to expand more in communities that really need this type of activities and strategies to be fully empowered and achieve a sustainable socioeconomic development. I can continue to tell about the lesson learned, but I don't want to step on other colleagues' time. But if the time permits, we will continue. I'm pleased to also continue to tell you more.
Thank you so much, Roxana. I absolutely agree. There's beauty in collaboration, and I think that is why such webinars are key, just to let us know what's happening globally, as well as what's happening in the region, and how we can collectively leverage on each other's effort. Thank you for also mentioning what next in terms of like what ITU, what you to the capacity building program. And yes, looking forward to also interacting with some of the like short courses when they're out, and also the updating. You've said like also like part of the thing you're looking forward to is updating and advancing the capacity building program, and also adjusting it with a holistic and intersectional approach to ensure that there is inclusion in all these efforts. So thank you so much for that, and it's an honor to have you present on your work. Next, I would still remind everyone that you can have your question on the chat, and then we can be able to respond to it. Next on, I will give the Niels. So how can community-driven knowledge sharing platforms leverage innovative funding models such as crowdsourcing, social impact investing, or revenue generation through services to diversify their funding sources and achieve financial stability? And then while you're answering that, also if you can just touch on what role do partnership play in supporting community-driven knowledge sharing platforms, and are there any successful examples that have contributed to getting Colmena where it is now?
Wow, many questions. Thank you, Whisper. Yeah, maybe I would start there when it comes to platforms. So until now, Colmena is not exactly a content platform. It's more a content creator. But of course, the idea is to make it possible to directly publish on social media platforms. And I think the problems that we are facing is right now the service of social media is coming supposedly for free from many of the big tech companies. So we are paying with our data, we are paying with our personal security. As we also heard in the Senate in the US last week again, there's serious accusations about the safety of children, of young women and everything. So I think we know, okay, social media is there, they won't disappear, but how can we make it like a sustainable and a safer place? And I think one of the answers lies in the idea to build them up more bottom up, and as the initiatives around community networks that we heard about before, and all the capacity building and the repositories. This is also, I think, key here. A key word might be federation. So it's of course not the idea to retreat on the local level and to work there, but to rather interact between different local spaces to learn from each other and to document best practices for change. When it comes to funding, I would say I don't have the silver bullet here. The idea is maybe rather in this sense to say it's not sustainable that every local community has its own software developed to set up like a social network, but it's rather there are technologies. For instance, Mastodon or others using the activity pub, it can be used for this. Sorry, I don't know why there's so many persons in the office today. I think I have to change again. Sorry for this. That is maybe a learning to say how can we pool resources together? How can we work together to have funding for tools that are important to us? And Colmena is trying a new strategy for sustainability that was to build up like a consortium. And so the idea behind this is even for one organization to develop software in a collaborative way, it's quite expensive. But if we can, if key partners join, for instance, a consortium and say, okay, we will pool our resources, be this human resources or be this finance, and we will also look for funding opportunities together. Then we can do it. Then we can work, and it's an ongoing experiment. But I very much trust as those kind of collaborations and learning from others that are already successfully doing it can be the ground for future collaboration on this level. So community centered, but also community sustained.
Thank you so much, Niels. You're asking why so many people are in the office today. Yeah. So thank you for your contributions. I totally agree. There is need for pulling resources together to build tools that are important to the community. And I think that builds on to the broader vision of ownership. If the community owns the platform and owns the process and the initiatives that are happening on ground, then there is like some sort of collective efforts towards ensuring that the tool they care about is there to continually serve their needs. Also, thank you for mentioning on how to make platforms like a safe space, and some of the models or approach you're using with Colmena, such to ensure sustainability, as well as having resources, creating resources, and you also mentioned federation. So thank you so much for those responses. Last, I will go to our last speaker for today, Daniela. And for Daniela is just to understand, are there any mechanisms in place within the National School of Community Networks to facilitate ongoing collaboration and knowledge sharing among participants after the completion of the program?
Thank you, Risper. I think, as you know, and also Harira is here, I'm very happy to see you. We worked together for at least 2 years developing these projects, and when the conclusion arrives, it's kind of a moment of I don't know how to say, but sometimes it's kind of joy, and also it's worried because what we are going to do next, because all the effort we have done during these years. So I think, as others have mentioned, it's important to work together, to take the time to reflect what we have done, what have been achieve and what is need to be developed with more time, with more resources, and then after this reflection, after this evaluation, it is possible to look for the next phase of the projects. And as we said, I think it's very important to work together. And also my colleagues here have said, Niels and Roxana have said also, this stakeholders approach about multi-stakeholders approach about these projects is very important. We have to look for our friends on these projects. There are many institutions, there are many governments, local and national governments that are very interested in develop these projects, and also people from the academy, people that are researching. So it's a complicated work to do, but also it's very I don't know the word in English, but I think also it's a challenge. But let us to go to the challenge, to the goals that we planned on the beginning, and that's why it's very important for us. The learnings are that we have to take the time to develop these projects. We have to do it carefully. With a lot of love, inclusive, and as Niels told you about the Colmena project and the process, I think it's very important because they are working all together and the organizations are working on what they want and what they really want, no? Because sometimes we work with technologies and we just accept what is coming from from the different organizations or people that are developing tools or technologies, and we accept what they have to offer to us. But maybe that is not what we want, maybe that is not fixed to us or our needs. So it's important that we can work from our ground and say, no, this is not what we want, this is not what we need to develop something else, and it is possible. And I think for the schools and all the story of Tequio Comunitario, it has been very important to look at the end of the evaluation. It's very important to see what we need to do for the next phase of these projects. They are alive projects, and I think one of the lessons we have learned is that, yeah, we have to see what is working, and then we have to adapt it. And that's why we have this Tequio Comunitario that has been inspired many different other training programs around the world, and how they can adapt following this PAR methodology that for us, as I told you, is very important. And yeah, I think that is our reflections for these projects.
Thank you, Daniela. Well said. There's need to work together. There's need to reflect on our achievements so that we don't. There's a lot of efforts that have already gone in place. So there's beauty in reflecting and celebrating the achievements as you co-create next phases for capacity building. And this is not just with the team implementing, but even with the communities that you are working with, that are being, that the communities themselves. Yes, so thank you to our panelists. It has been a lovely discussion. I've learned so much from your presentations, and hoping to interact, to continually interact with programs that are towards community development, and see how to ensure that we are working together to bridge the digital divide. Yes, so I want to take this opportunity, this chance. We have very few minutes, I want to open up the floor to anyone who has a question. Please make it brief, and then you can have it direct it to the person you'd like to respond to. Also, I don't know if there's any question, Deborah, on the chat from this participants.
Hi, Whisper. No, I see some comments thanking the speakers and a lot of emojis in terms of the links shared for the resources. I made a comment myself. I'll take the opportunity of having the mic to share that. It's amazing how these incredible experiences shared today have this common line in terms of valuing the local, the community knowledge, and like propose this encounter between different types of knowledge to make change together. So thanks for this inspiring message that you all share in common.
Thank you, Deborah. Is there anyone else that would want to unmute and ask a question or give a comment? Okay, I believe that
It's
silence. Yes, go ahead.
No, I just want once again to thank all the presenters for the efforts. I also learn a lot from this webinar. My last word, it will be perhaps to make a call for replicating and collaborating. So replicating whatever good practices we observe that they are good, to not reinvent, because it's a lot of effort and money and time also to build let's say a structure. And I think we all arrive to such a level of maturity to understand exactly which would be the main approach. Of course, always should be localized, should be adapted, should be redefined. But I think that we all understood more or less the way to go. And from this perspective, I think those who managed to have these fantastic experiences and projects here, perhaps start to join forces and to try to extend our efforts for those who didn't have yet the opportunity and the possibility to benefit from this project. So it's just a call for collaboration and to try to not continue alone in this process, because there's so much work to be done outside everywhere. And so it's space for all of us to build together and to put together our expertise and experiences, and to try to benefit more person from this remote and rural and indigenous communities that were not for the moment beneficiary of all these wonderful projects. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roxana. I mean, what a way to end this session. I would not add anything. I think you've really summarized very well the discussion and the call and the commitment going forward with regards to capacity building, knowledge resource creation, as well as creating local content and local platforms for the community. So thank you all for joining. Apologies from our moderator today, Josephine Miliza. She had technical issues, but she has been listening in to the conversation. With that, I want to again thank you all for your active participation, insightful contribution. And if you have any further questions or would like to continue this discussion, please reach out to us. Stay curious and keep unlocking impact in your communities. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you,
I think.
Reapers. Thank you, Niels, Daniela, Rachel. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.
It was a pleasure.